So I got the Kingston Savage HyperX SSD, mainly for video editing, but I do plan to use it for some other applications like in the Blackmagic cinema camera possibly. I like it, and I got it with an external caddy, as you can see, and it's very, very fast, much faster than other SSDs I've used, even when it's full. And it's very easy to use with my Mac. And I got a $8 caddy, and I'll put a link up for that. It's USB 3.0, and the SSD just snaps right in there. And as you can see from the speeds, this is 23 gigabytes of free space left. So not all the space in the world is left, but it's still very fast. And I just want to note that these speeds are actually pretty consistent. I haven't been getting the 500 right, and I think that's probably a USB 3.0 limitation because it has been maxing out at around 450. So obviously this is a great item for video editing. People always talk about having a RAID array for video editing. You don't necessarily need that. You just need a solid state drive and a USB 3.0 connection, or a Thunderbolt connection would be better. Another option is to get this drive or a similar version of it in PCI Express, and that will be very, very fast because you don't have the SATA 6 limitation, which is 6,000 megabits per second, which is the upper limiting factor. When you look at the benchmark tests, this SSD really holds its own against some of the big brands out there. Now, why the Savage HyperX versus the Fury or the HyperX 3 or whatever? Well, I actually went on Blackmagic's website and they recommended it for the 4K production camera for shooting RAW, which admittedly I'm probably not going to use that specific camera, but I wanted a solid state drive that would work with it for sure. And also I love the design of it. I think this drive is just beautiful, which is why I took so much time to put so much photo and video up, because it's a very pretty drive. But you can see that it holds its own against the SanDisk Extreme Pro, which is what I was going to get, but it was pricier. As you can see, it's $105 here, and I paid $85 for my Savage X, or Savage HyperX. These names. With the SanDisk Ultra Plus, it's doing much better. And then, of course, the HyperX 3K here, you can see the comparison. The SanDisk Extreme 2, which has been superseded by the Extreme Pro, but is nonetheless still used, still popular. And then the obviously the Samsung Evo 850 Pro is, I would say, probably one of the best solid states on the market. But again, I was on a little bit of a budget, so I went with this drive. Still very happy with it. This drive rates 147. It's rated 147 out of over 400 drives, whereas the Samsung is a little bit closer to the top. Now the SanDisk Ultra 2 is the one that I was going to get, but again, I was looking at the Blackmagic specs and they didn't recommend it for RAW because it would drop frames. So I wanted to get the HyperX from Kingston, because just a little bit more of a guarantee there. As you can see, it's rated 147 out of 807, and the Ultra 2 is rated at an astonishing 370 out of 807. You can look at these speeds, and the write speeds of a lot of these SSDs are not impressive, whereas the Savage HyperX is just it's got great write speed. So that's just something to think about. I think it's a great drive. I hope to get it to its full potential of 530 write speed, 560 read speed. It very well could be my computer's limitation. I have a Retina MacBook Pro 2013 15-inch, and I'm hooked to this Orico USB 3.0 enclosure, which is supposed to be very fast. It's supposed to use some special software to get the max speed and eliminate some of the overhead of USB 3.0. I think that's how they put it. But it hasn't really been doing that. That said, it's a very fast enclosure, much faster than the other enclosures I have, which I guess I'm used to the SATA 2, or SATA 3 gigabit, I should say, versus the SATA 6 gigabit stuff. And then obviously I do have some Blackmagic products. I just don't have a Blackmagic cinema camera. But I have the for example, the Intensity Shuttle Thunderbolt, which I personally love for capturing all sorts of stuff in ProRes, and it'll capture at 10-bit 422 chroma subsample. So it's a great little device, and capturing to the SSD is going to be the most reliable way. You can capture to a spinning disk or slower media such as flash drives using ProRes LT or ProRes at lower frame rates, but if you want to start capturing 60 frames per second, regular ProRes or ProRes HQ or ProRes 444, you're gonna need a solid state or a RAID array. And I recommend the solid state because it doesn't even draw 1 amp. Whereas a RAID, you got to plug it in and whatnot. So a solid state or two, I think is the way to go. And if you want to RAID, a software RAID of solid states, that's another way to go, which I might experiment with. But really, video footage, if you're a video editor, video footage is going to get higher and higher resolution. So it's a good investment to have media that can handle that future. This video is in 1440p, 2.5K, and I did that on purpose because I am editing off this drive. But I think we're going to start seeing demand for higher frame rates and higher resolutions at the same time. So you're going to need a fast drive for that. And if your computer's boot drive is not an SSD, I highly recommend you make it an SSD for a number of reasons. Thanks for watching, and just a few talking points and a review of the Kingston Savage HyperX SSD drive. Love those names. Thanks.